One of those new coming-in House members is Representative-elect Debbie Dingell, Democrat of Michigan, who's joining us from the Cannon Rotunda this morning. Congresswoman-elect, you are replacing your husband, Representative John Dingell, who served in the House for Michigan for 59 years, from 1956 to 2015. What do you plan to do to further his legacy, and how will you be different than your husband?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm Debbie Dingell, and I'm not trying to replace the shoes of my husband. They're large ones. He's one of the giants of the Congress, and I know how big they are to fill. I've got my own shoes, and I've had my own experiences that I'm going to be bringing to this job. The most important thing that I need to do is to represent the people of the 12th District of Michigan and the people of Michigan on the many issues that we all care about. And I think you're going to find that Republicans and Democrats all share a lot of the very same goals, which is to strengthen the economy, to create jobs for people. Healthcare for me has always been a passion. I'll continue to fight for it. I don't think any American should ever have to choose between whether they can go to a doctor or afford medicine or eat. Making education affordable for our young people when they're going to college, but at the same time, most of a child's brain is developed by the time they're 5. 90% of it is. So I think I share a lot of the issues that many others do. And I think one of the things that I've really learned, and I knew, but I've really heard in this past election, the American people are tired of everybody fighting. They want to see us come together. We've got a lot of issues out there. They want to see people work together and find solutions.
You were elected with 65% of the vote today. You have had a career before you came to Congress, served over 30 years at General Motors as president of the GM Foundation, as the senior executive responsible for global community relations and government relations. How will that experience impact you in this new role as a member of Congress, and what issues does that mean that you'll be pushing for?
Well, one of the most critical things that I think matters is manufacturing, bringing jobs back to this country. And the fact of the matter is that America can compete in a global marketplace with anyone. And I believe that one of the things that I've had a history of doing, not only at General Motors, but working on a number of other projects, is bringing people together of disparate backgrounds to find common ground. The fact of the matter is that business and labor need to work together to attract manufacturing back to this country. Not only is labor competitive, too often people think that labor is too expensive here and cheaper in other countries. Labor is competitive, but now we exceeded energy production over Saudi Arabia last year, and energy is the second largest significant cost after wages in manufacturing. We can compete, and that, I think, is something that I've worked on manufacturing policies, how to keep jobs in this country for a long time, and it's going to continue to be something I'm going to work very hard on.
Yeah, and obviously the auto industry, very important to Michigan. It's the auto industry having a pretty good year. What do you think is next for car makers in this country?
Well, you know, there are a number of issues. I mean, it's been a rough 5 years. I think people need to focus on the fact something very significant is going to happen this coming year, which is going to be labor negotiations. When the auto industry went through a difficult time, everybody came to the table and gave to try to help make the industry more competitive. Many of the auto workers have not seen any kind of increase or significant wage increase. In the last few years, there's become a two-tier wage system. How you keep the auto industry competitive, but also include the working men and women who are making those vehicles, is going to be a very critical issue this year. And there are other issues that are going to be discussed in Washington that are going to affect the industry. Trade is going to be a very significant issue. The fact of the matter is that companies that manipulate their currency give unfair advantages to the companies that are in their country. Use Japan as an example. Japan's one of the most closed markets in the world. I know these domestic manufacturers. I've worked with them. I've worked and lived with the people that make those cars. We can compete and build the best car anywhere in the world. But when you've got a country that's manipulating its currency, they get a several $1,000 advantage in this country that they use to subsidize the cost of cars and advertising and in parts. I think manipulation of currencies is the mother of all trade barriers, and it's something that we've really got to work on. And it's not just for the domestic auto industry, it impacts agriculture and other industries. That'll be something that's very important this year.
Yeah, the Pacific Partnership trade deal, one that's important to this. President says he wants to push it. You sound like you're familiar with the negotiations. Are you right now sort of planning to vote no?
I'm waiting to see what the president comes forward with, but if they do not address some very significant issues, I can't support it, because we've got to have a level playing field for all the manufacturers in this country. And I hope that these things will be done before it's brought to the Congress for approval.
Okay. Well, we're getting our